Okay, I grabbed the camera. Hi, Jake. The leveler is maxed out, so.
You could probably get off, Jake. You're past the firewall.
Just about. Pull, give it one more pull.
We're almost at the oil pan. Okay. There you go. Yeah, a little more, Aiden. It's a good thumbnail.
You standing on this?
Mm-hmm. All right, you're plenty clear of that. Clear of that.
Probably level it out and
I'm afraid to step off of it because it's going to hit the plastic cow.
Oh, that's true.
Until
Okay.
you slide it back further.
Gotta put the camera down. Really just been working all morning, getting everything undone, and those last two clips you saw, I figured just grab the camera and try to get something of the engine being pulled out. But it's out, ready to go wherever the customer wants to take it. He's got some flywheel parts and stuff, so he's gonna drive them down and then take this engine and trans. And I'm gonna get work cleaning up everything. The frame actually looks really good on this truck. There's no rust, nothing. And I believe the Dirty Dingo mounts that I had him order came with new clamshell mounts. So I'm going to replace those mounts and then get the Dirty Dingo mounts onto the motor over there. And then today I'd like to slide the motor in and just check for clearance and everything, make sure we were all good. And then I have a couple of these wiring taped up, and basically I will pull it all apart, but a lot of it will stay because some of it's like just key on power, constant power. We can use that wiring, and for all the factory gauges to work, we'd have to keep this anyway. So I'll keep it there for now. It's not in the way, not in the way of anything. And I want to get the engine in, and I forgot this truck actually has a 2-piece drive shaft, so we're gonna have to see and do some workaround, and if even I can get the front shaft remade, because I don't know the length of the T56 versus the 4L60 that was in it. So there's definitely some finagling we got to do, but I'm going to open the trunk, well, bed I should say, open the bed and dig around and find the motor mounts. There's a ton of parts back there, but I want to find the motor mounts and see if I ordered the ones with the clamshells. I think I did. So got new motor mounts in, clamshell, like the bases, kind of a pain to do, but because the nuts are not capturing anything, but they are in. Nice fresh new mounts, good mounts. Now I'm doing the LSA balancer. So normally LSs do not, or only slip fit, or press fit I should say, and the LSAs actually use a keyway. So being this is a normal 6-liter crank, what I have to do is I have to put a half moon in both the crank and the balancer that will lock it in place. So when the blower drive, this is the blower drive, so normally it's AC, serpentine, and then blower. When the blower's, you know, spinning, without it pinned, you are likely to spin the balancer on the crank and damage the crank. So luckily I have a couple pin kits, and well, he ordered it, got a pin kit in, and I will just get to work, and I'll show you guys once we get everything, I get it set up. You have to use special drill bits because this is a hardened crank, and yeah, so I'll show you guys in a sec. So got the pin kit set up, and all it is a little, that's it. And then like I said, it basically puts a half moon in the balancer and in the crank. So just drill it to the depth, and then remove this, slide this in, and then put the balancer bolt back on. And that's it. And there it is. That's all it is. So the only downside of drilling your crank like this and doing it, if the balancer ever comes off, you'll more than likely never get that to line back up, because it's, like I said, the balancer's press fit to begin with, but getting that to line up is almost impossible. And then the problem is, if you try to use the pin and line it up, you can have all kinds of issues. You can break the pin, you can break a piece of the crank off, so it's always better to just re-drill it. I know that sucks to re-drill your crank a bunch, but it is what it is when you're dealing with this. So that's in. So like I said, so now you take the little pin and you just put it in. That's it. Now when the balancer bolt goes on, it'll hold it in place and the balancer will not spin on the crank. So another thing done. So now I'll put a balancer bolt on it, get it all tight, and then test fit the engine into the car, into the truck. She's in. I put a piece of wood behind the engine just because they're still stock style motor mounts, and without the wood, the whole thing is almost supposed to fall out. But it's in. Everything looks good. I started to go through the customer's parts, and he's missing a couple things. So here's the bell housing. Found the bell housing, the clutch, and the trans. Sadly, he's got no bolts. So we have to get some bolts. I know ICT Billet sells a kit for bell housing bolts, but I'm gonna have to look for one Tremec to see if we get a see if they sell like a bolt kit. And then I was also, they are pretty nice. Full CNC ported, or CNC milled, I should say. Boost district. So my buddy Jesse Olson Custom Works. He makes, well, so Boost District is the big company, and then Olson Works makes the plates. And literally comes with everything you need to put the LSA blower onto square port style heads. And then Boost District has it's like the adapter, basically the bracket, so we can run all factory truck accessories in it. And there's still a bunch of parts in here that I have to go through, like there's a water tank, heat exchanger, starter, poly, headers, so lots of parts still to go through. He's coming tomorrow to pick up this engine, so hopefully that gets out of here. Got a fuel pump, and yeah, we are getting there. Like even the blower's in here, but the blower's got everything in it already. Like it's basically complete. We're gonna use, so we're gonna see how it does. It's basically the stock pulley setup, but it's a 6-liter with a cam, so it should in theory make less boost than stock. So we're gonna see how it does with stock injectors, and he bought a 340 liter per hour pump. That pump might not be enough, but I'll be able to monitor fuel pressure and be able to tell. But everything's coming along. We found a rad fan, electric rad fan that'll work, so I have to pull this, but everything looks great. It's coming along. Like I said, that's all the factory wiring. I will get rid of a lot of it, and I have to talk to him, see if he wants to keep AC. What we're doing with AC, I'm not exactly sure yet. But good morning, everyone. Back here at the shop for the next installment video. So I have the truck up in the air, and we are test fitting the transmission and the bell housing. He has the clutch and everything, but we're missing a couple bolts and pilot bearing I'm missing. But the big thing is I wanted to see where this landed up, and so this is normally the standard shifter spot, but as you can see, these trucks were offered manual. There's a hole here, but there's also a shifter plate up here too, so the shifter might just have to move forward. So I'm going to lower the transmission down a little bit and take a look at it and see what we have to work with. I also want to see about the drive shaft, where it's going to land. So normally it's got a front section, carrier bearing, and then it goes rear is like a slip yoke because it's got to account for the transmission, or account for the rear end. So gonna lower this down and see what we have to work with. I mean, there's good clearance everywhere. So technically this is actually a Ford trans. This is out of an 0304 Cobra, and then we had to buy this is from like an 0506 or 04 to 06 GTO bell housing. So there's definitely some oddities, like see how this bolt hole's not lined up, this one's not used. So, but the majority of them do line up. So I'll have to get everything in and kind of eyeballing it. The cross member it basically went here. That might work. I also want to slide that in and see what that looks like. But yeah, so right now I want to, like I said, lower it down. I want to take some pictures, take a look at the shifter, what we have to do for that. Fun times with modified parts and vehicles. So we have the transmission bolted in. It's actually supported, and factory cross member works. Factory, well, this is an aftermarket mount, but the factory hole works. And if we move the shifter to the mid plate, that's the factory stick shift hole. That will work. All thanks to the Dirty Dingo slider mounts. They're literally all the way forward, and with the motor all the way forward, everything lines up. So with the factory cross member and everything in place, in theory, we should be able to use the factory drive shaft. Might get it rebuilt because the carrier bearing is pretty old and the U-joints are original. But I still need a yoke for a T56. But I'm going to kind of sort of eyeball it and see if this will work or not. But based on everything else is lining up, it should work. That's pretty cool. New development. The stock drive shaft fits. If you see, apparently the 60 4L60 and T56 is the same for the slip yoke up here. Carrier bearing is milk bolted in. It's actually a little bit, you can see the old marks, it's a little bit further back than it was. And then there is another slip here, and I take the drive shaft. This is pushed all the way in, all the way in. Come on. Here we go. Everything fits. Kind of wild. I don't know how long this drive shaft will last with a carrier bearing, and I don't know if we even need, if we can or need to convert this over to a single shaft. But really cool. Everything fits. So now I have to pull everything apart because, oh, I don't know if you can actually see in there or not. You can't see. There's no pilot bearing. If I have my, I don't have my light. I don't know where my light is. But the clutch kit does not come with a pilot bearing, so I need a new I need a pilot bearing, and I am waiting for the bolts. I just had some bolts laying around, and then I kind of made it work. But really cool. I have to convert again. See, the shifter's actually literally lined up with the factory hole, so I'm going to have to cut the floor, and then we have to get the, I think that's, I can't remember if this is the mid, I don't know if this is the mid one or forward shifter, but I got to pull the trans down and check everything over. But now I got to pull everything apart, and yeah, but really cool that all of this works. I did not expect the drive shaft, factory cross member, anything of that to work, but it did. Pretty cool. Got the transmission down and took the plate off of the, I want to say mid. I mean, it also could be forward, but this is where I made a mark. That's like almost the center of the like where that lines up. So I have to do some research and see what we need to run this. It's not the same. This is actually the plate that covers it. This plate, slightly different, slightly longer. So gonna have to see what is needed to move the shifter here, and if I have to pull this back rod out or what, I have no idea. But that is next thing on the list, and we'll just keep on disassembling because don't have any more parts. Like I said, I need the pilot bearing and all the bolts and everything, so kind of on a hold for that. And then once the drive line is situated, I can start doing exhaust. Wiring's gonna be last, so we'll do the exhaust, mount the blower on, get all the drive on everything. So fun times with project vehicles, but this is the next hurdle and start. He actually bought everything from a stick shift truck and it showed up. So I'm going to open this box and see what is included in this. I believe it's the pedal assembly and everything. So let's open that box. So here is the, basically got to change the brake pedal because it's a thin, usually, you know, the automatic brake pedals, if I can do this, are like really wide, and then this one's a lot thinner to fit the clutch pedal. But it comes with all we need, clutch switch and everything. So go to that. This is, I want to say, slave. Yep, this, or no, master. This is the master cylinder that actually bolts onto this, which is pretty cool. And then the, I want to say the clutch kit he ordered also has a slave. So I gotta make sure we have that. And yeah, lots of parts and lots of things to just double check and make sure everything is good to go. But we're getting there. All right, let's get this thing down on the ground, and unfortunately now we have to push it to move it, which sucks because now it doesn't run. It's a little later now. Now I'm home and kind of forgot to film an outro. I'm going to include a lot of this day 2 in this video with, you know, putting the engine in and everything just to get it all in, because I don't know the next time I'm going to be able to work on the truck just with my babysitter situation with my daughter and everything. So yeah, but I have a parts list to give to the customer to try to order a couple more parts to get in, so the next time I do work on it, I can continue and keep moving forward with everything. There's a lot of little things that are changing, like the Ford Trans is actually being an 0304 Cobra. It is originally a mechanical throwout bearing. Like it literally has a fork with a bearing on it, and the GM stuff is all hydraulic. And the customer bought this McLeod hydraulic conversion. I don't know if it's exactly going to work with the Ford Trans. I don't know. I have to do more research and check into things and see what I need, and because there's literally a ball, a pivot ball where the old fork used to sit, and I don't know if that's in the way now. There's a couple things that need to be verified, and hopefully it does work. I slid it on, and it slid onto the input shaft and everything, but will it actually engage? I don't know. So definitely something I have to, that's one of the next big things I have to look into. And just because I'm down there, and I want that all to work before I cut a big hole in his floor and tell him his transmission does not work. Now he has a hole in his floor and needs to buy the GM transmission. So I'm gonna make sure that works good for him. So to do a little recap, like I said, I'm really surprised that the factory 1994 drive shaft fits and the crossmember fits with just all we had to do was slide the motor forward. I think the Dirty Dingo mounts allow for 3/4 of an inch forward than stock and like 2 inches back. I believe that's what it is. But they offer a very wide range of adjustment, which is awesome, especially in our case, that everything is apparently lined up, which is cool. And it is Gimme the Boost is the company that he got the bracketry from, that basically converts everything to a 6-rib, which isn't completely ideal, but being he is going to be running factory boost, like a factory balancer and factory upper pulley with a cammed engine, it should only make 5 to 6 pounds of boost, which is okay for a 6-rib setup. But if you ever want to turn it up, we might have to change accessory drive to be able to utilize the factory, I want to say 8-rib. 7 or 8 rib is the factory LSA, and then move all the accessories to the standard 6 rib drive. Just that will be a bridge that we cross at a later date as this truck progresses and changes, and it's ever evolving. It's never been the same thing, but that's all right. So we'll make it work, get everything done, and got a good parts list to order, and hopefully next time I work on it, which will probably be next week, but it will be my normal Thursday, Fridays when I'm down the shop. It won't be a couple more days, like continuous days. But the good news is the engine fits. I knew it would fit, but the trans fits and the drive shaft fits. I can't believe it. But I'm starting to ramble. I'm looking at the timer and I'm starting to ramble. Sorry. So, thank you if you are still here watching, and new subscribers, thank you. And a lot of Facebook engagement with the channel, and well, not the channel, with my business page. Really cool. As I'm starting to post more pictures, people seem to really like this truck, and it's definitely an oddball truck, and it's definitely gonna be cool when it's done, and I'm really excited about that. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. It's gonna be a good bit of progress in the next one. Once I get everything hammered out, I'm going to sit down now and write down a detailed list of what needs to be done, and if parts need to be ordered, they need to be ordered. So that way when I get to work, I can work and no time is wasted, because I want to try to get this truck done for this customer. He's been wanting this truck, like it hasn't been on the road in a while, so he wants to get it done, and I want to try to get it done for him. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you guys in the next one.